Hi everybody. Today we will learn about lung volume and lung capacity. What is lung volume? Lung volume is the measurement of the lungs, and you obtain this value by using a spirometer. Whereas lung capacity is the capacity of the lung. It is a calculated value and you obtain this value by adding lung volume. So the lung volume is a parameter or it's a measurement of the lung, which can be measured directly by using a spirometer, whereas lung capacity is a theoretical value or it is a calculated value determined. You obtain this from the spirometer data. From the spirometer you get the lung volume and you add lung volume to get the lung capacity. There are 4 types of lung volume and 4 types of lung capacity. Now let's look into detail about what are the 4 types of lung volume and lung capacity. The 4 lung volume include tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, and residual volume. What is tidal volume? It is the amount of air that moves in and out of the lung during normal breathing process. You breathe in and out normally, and the amount of air that moves in and out during a normal respiration, that is known as tidal volume. If you consider this as your normal breath, this amount of air is called tidal volume, and it is approximately 500 milliliters. So you're taking a normal breath, and following a normal breath, you are forcefully inhaling, you're forcefully breathing in more air. That amount of air, or the amount of air that can be forcefully inhaled following a normal breathing process, is called inspiratory reserve volume, and it is approximately around 3 liters. Different books may give different value. This is just approximate value. Now what is expiratory reserve volume? Same like inspiratory reserve volume, the amount of air that can be forcefully exhaled following a normal respiration. You're taking a normal breath, and at the end of the normal breath you are exhaling more air forcefully. This amount of air is known as expiratory reserve volume, and it is approximately around 1 to 1.5 liters. Now what is residual volume? So the residual volume, after a forceful exhalation, the alveoli is not totally collapsed. There will be still some amount of air remaining in the lung alveoli. So the amount of air remaining in the lungs following a maximal exhalation, that is known as residual volume, and it is approximately around 1 liters or 1200 milliliters. So these are the 4 types of lung volume. Now let's look into the lung capacity. There are 4 types of lung capacity which you obtain by adding the lung volume. The 4 types of lung capacity are inspiratory capacity, functional residual capacity, vital capacity, and total lung capacity. What is inspiratory capacity? That is the maximum amount of air that can be inhaled is known as inspiratory capacity. That includes your tidal volume and your inspiratory reserve volume. So you add inspiratory reserve volume and tidal volume to get the inspiratory capacity. That means the maximum amount of air that can be inhaled. The second lung capacity is the functional residual capacity. It is the amount of air in the lungs following a normal tidal volume. This is your tidal volume. When you breathe in and out, there will be still some amount of air in the lung alveoli, and you get this capacity by adding the residual volume and expiratory reserve volume. The third lung capacity is vital capacity. What is vital capacity? It is the maximum amount of air that can be inhaled and exhaled. It includes inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume, and expiratory reserve volume. You add these 3 volumes to get the vital capacity, and it is approximately around 4.8 liters or 4,800 milliliters. Now finally, the last lung capacity is the total lung capacity. It is the maximum amount of air lung can accommodate. It includes inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume, expiratory reserve volume, and residual volume. You add all these 4 volumes to get the lung capacity. And in males, it is approximately around 6 liters, and in females, it is approximately around 4.2 liters. Now let's summarize. So the tidal volume is the amount of air that moves in and out of the lung during normal respiration, and it is around 500 milliliters. The inspiratory reserve volume is the amount of air that can be forcefully inhaled following a normal tidal volume. It is approximately around 3 liters. Now the expiratory reserve volume is the amount of air that can be forcefully exhaled following a normal respiration. And that is approximately around 1 to 1.5 liters. Now the residual volume is the amount of air remaining in the lungs following a forceful exhalation. It is approximately around 1 liters or around 1200 ml. So these are the 4 types of lung volume, and you add the lung volumes to get the capacity. Now let's look into the capacity. Inspiratory capacity. It is the maximum amount of air that can be inhaled. That includes tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume. You add these 2 volumes to get the capacity. Functional residual capacity is the amount of air remaining in the lungs following a normal tidal volume or following a normal respiration. That is expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume. The vital capacity of the lung is the amount of air that can be, or the maximum amount of air that can be inhaled or exhaled, or the maximum amount of air that can be exhaled after a maximal inhalation. It includes, you obtain vital capacity by adding inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume plus expiratory reserve volume. It is approximately around 4.8 liters. Now the total lung capacity is the maximum amount of air lungs can accommodate. It includes inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume plus expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume. And it is around 6 liters in males and 4.2 liters in females. So today we discussed about lung volume versus lung capacity, and thanks for watching my video.